everybody, and welcome to our October version of the US Pack on Time Courier podcast. It's a mouthful, but I was able to get it out. So happy October. It's the month of Halloween, obviously, getting in the fall. So hopefully everybody's enjoying the fall colors, that change in the weather. And of course, winter's right around the corner, right? But if you're like me, fall's the favorite time of the year. You got football, you got colors, you got cooling weather. So I hope everybody is enjoying it. We got a really packed edition for you this month. We got some great leaders from our account management team. We'll start out with Tammy Orr, who is our Senior Director of Account Management, and she's going to share some of her, as she puts it, I think, decades worth of experience. She's going to share that with us. We're going to have, of course, our Executive Vice President of Enterprise Services, Liz Billias, here with our monthly safety message. And then we will wrap up with Blake Massman. Blake is one of our account directors, and he'll share with us kind of a unique look. Blake has been, he's been at several different places in the company, seen it from different perspectives. So he's got some great feedback to share and some great observations. So we'll get that started. Of course, I'm your host, Kevin Beasley. I'm fortunate to be here with you every month, and also very fortunate that we have Kate Wiles, who is behind the scenes making all of this happen, right? She's editing, recording, directing, producing, and she's the reason this thing is successful. So, Kate, thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and get started. Before we do, just a reminder, any questions you have or thoughts you'd want to see on this podcast, please send an email to the driver experience team. We want to hear your feedback. We want to make this podcast as effective and as useful and informative for you as we possibly can. So having said all that, let's sit back, get the show started, and let's go. All right, everybody. And as promised, our first guest today, we're very fortunate to have her with us, is Tammy Orr. Tammy is our Senior Director of Account Management. Tammy, thank you so much for making the time to join us here today.
Happy to do it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I know you've been in the transportation business for a long while. You and I have worked together for some of that. So if you wouldn't mind, tell the audience and our contractors a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yep, you're right. I've been in the transportation industry for decades. Right out of high school, went to work for a company that did some hauling of bulk plastic, chemicals, things of that nature. Totally different game than what we do here today. But in 1991, started with a company that did expedited transportation, and immediately started working alongside independent contractors. So that was my first brush with the IC model. And I started my career in customer service and dispatch. Worked for that company for 32 years.
Wow.
Moved up through the ranks into an operational leadership roles, various roles, business development, and then ended my career in sales before moving over to US Pack about a year and a half ago. Actually, closer to 2 years. February of 24, I started with US
Wow.
Pack. Yeah.
Wow, the time
So
flies by. I can remember when you joined the company. It's kind of hard to believe it's coming up on 2 years. That's amazing.
I know. Time does fly.
Awesome.
So
And
it's
32
been,
years with one company, and that's impressive. And I had the fortune of working with you at that company, and I knew you did an incredible job there, and you brought that work ethic and that experience over to US Pack, which we've really been happy for. Um, Tammy, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit. So you're in account management. So for those of us who really don't know much about that, walk us through what being an account management is or what you do.
yeah. Yeah, it's so I joined the company as senior director of account management, and I have a team of 6 account managers. And so we have really our top 25 accounts, and that's revenue producing, volume producing, market saturated accounts that we look after. And so our role here is to ensure mostly that we have, customer growth, but that we avoid any type of customer churn. So customer retention is one of our primary goals. And so really as an account management team, I think of ourselves really as a customer solutions, customer experience type of team where unlike the sales organization, we're attaching ourselves to these customers and working with them every single day. And that's whether it's problem resolution, again, driving growth through new opportunities, new geographies, maybe new product lines that a customer might have and want to launch. And really doing that high level and incredibly detailed at times project work to make sure that things are flowing the way that they should. Um, lot of involvement at the ground level with our operations teams, often lots of interaction directly with our ICs, um, really designing SOPs specific to various markets, customer requirements, et cetera. So the job really ranges dependent on the day, um, whether we're incurring any type of issues with a customer, and then if there's any new opportunities to go chase after.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for that. It sounds like you and your team really have your hands in a little bit of everything. So, and when you mention our 25 top revenue producing customers, that's in different verticals, right? Some of that is healthcare, some of that is critical mile. It's really across the board, is it not?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So, every call can be every conference call, every customer call, every call with the field level or whatever the thing is that we're embarking on next. We're shifting ourselves depending on what accounts each of the account managers looks after. But yeah, we do represent all of our verticals from life science, healthcare, critical parts, retail. We have our hands in just a little bit of everything across the board.
Yep, sounds that way. And I know my team interacts with yours quite a bit when we're trying to find capacity solutions for whether it be current customers, new customers, everything across the board. So, uh, Tammy, so you and your team are involved in a lot of stuff. How does what you do make an impact, or how does it, well, impact's a good word. How does it impact our contractors who are out every day representing the company, seeing our customers, providing great service? How does what you do impact them on a day to day basis?
Yeah. Um, really, it's determining what the customer requirements are and then how we can deliver the experience that they're expecting from US Pack. And so helping to align and design um, SOPs, working alongside of our implementation team. Certainly, we spend a lot of time with that team to ensure that all of the critical information flows from the customer really through us and down to whatever work group um, we need it to so that it can get to the ground level in order to ensure that our contractors on the ground are successful, that they have a clear picture of what the customer's mission is and what they need to do to facilitate, getting whatever the product is from origin to destination and in the way that a customer expects to receive it. So really our goal is to help our ICs have all of that information so there's really little to no guesswork. We try to anticipate just about everything that could come into light so that at least our operational team can answer all of the questions for our ICs. And again, our primary goal is to make sure that our ICs are successful and that they're not out there not or unsure of what to do or how to handle any type of particular shipment.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Sorry,
a
go ahead.
lot of liaison work with our clients and then on down to the field level.
And thank you for going through that. It is extensive. And one of the things you mentioned is our implementation team, which we've had them on, Brian Tevlin, Rick Massman. It really is, the teamwork between your team and theirs when it comes to bringing on a new piece of business, understanding what are the customer's requirements when it comes to equipment or driver background. Do they need to have TSA? Do they need to have certain endorsements on their license? There really is a lot that goes into standing up a new customer for our company, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, there really is. It's, if I think about the documentation behind all of that and the coordination with each one of our internal um, organizations such as sourcing, um, compliance, implementation, operations. So really, we try to bring all of those teams together in a coordinated fashion so that we can quickly implement new business. And again, ensure that the launch of that business is successful. And that starts really with gathering customer requirements and really understanding what the critical mission of that customer is. And we talk a lot these days about healthcare and life science, but it is equally important for our critical parts customers, our retail customers. That sale for an auto part is just as important to them as receiving a pharmacy delivery to a long-term healthcare facility. And it does get more critical as we think about life-saving drugs in our life science vertical. And so we're extra cautious and very diligent with details around those customers. But really, the detail and the implementation is just as critical regardless of the vertical.
That's awesome. Thank you for going through that. And it's you start thinking about everything involved. There's a lot to wrap your head around. So, um, what? So like as you said, you've been in the business for a while. In your account management role, what's the most rewarding for you? What part do you enjoy the most still today?
That's a great question. I still love to get up every morning and come to work. We know that today our mission is every day this is the same, and that is to make sure that we have delivered the customer experience that our customers expect and that we've done our due diligence to make sure that all of the team members and our ICs are supporting that mission in the way that is the most efficient and provides the most understanding to our folks on the ground, because really they're the heroes in the end. They're the ones that are getting whatever the thing is from point A to point B. So it is quite rewarding when we've made a customer's day, or we've potentially saved a patient's life with delivering a critical cancer drug or immunotherapy, or we've made someone's life more comfortable at a long-term care facility, or we've delighted our customers in retail because they know all of the things that they need to have in the stores prior to, we're coming up on this, on this critical time of
Sure.
holiday sales and all of those things. So, you know, just making our customers happy. That's what I like to get up and do every day. And I like to be a good team member and make sure that I'm being a good partner within USPAC as well. So
That's
that's
awesome.
that's what makes me get out of bed every day.
That's cool. Sounds like you still have a lot of passion and enjoy this quite a bit. So that certainly is good to see, Tammy. It's infectious, with all of us. So thank you for that. Um, as we get ready to sign off here, with your experience in the industry and the things you've seen, what kind of advice or what feedback would you give to our contractors in the field to help them to be more successful or to take their business where they want to take it to?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned implementation podcast. I did listen to that episode, and I kind of think back about Rick Massman's advice and his thoughts around the opportunity to sign on with USPAC to be an IC. It is an incredibly rewarding role. Um, the advice I would have is that it's not easy. It's not an easy role. And so, what I would encourage everyone out in the field to do is ask questions. Don't assume, always ask questions. Make sure that you have, kind of align yourself with good contacts so that if you run into things overnight in the field, you know who to reach out to. Don't make assumptions, follow the instructions. I think that's probably the most critical thing, is that just, understanding what the requirements the customer lays out there for us and that we can meet those. But most importantly, don't go silent. We've got lots of resources here to help you, and we want to make sure that we're here and that we are here to answer your questions. So always pick up the phone, send an email, a text, call dispatch, whatever the thing is. But definitely don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, and Tammy, that's great advice because, I like to remind our contractors all the tools they have here to be successful, right? They had the local field representatives. They have obviously the account management team, the implementation team, sourcing, driver experience. We have a lot of tools here to help our contractors when they have questions. And always, I like your advice. When in doubt, ask a question. That's what we're here for to help you to be successful. So great advice. Appreciate that. And Tammy, I can't thank you enough for your time here today. What you do is instrumental to the company and to our contractors in the field. And we're fortunate to get to spend a little bit of time with you today and allow us to pick your brain, so to speak. So thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me, Kevin. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think we're going to jump over to Liz Billis, our Executive Vice President of Enterprise Services, and she's going to give us our monthly safety message. So, Tammy, thank you again. And Liz, it's all yours.
Thanks, Kevin, and thank you too, Tammy. As the days get shorter and the air gets cooler and the weather starts to change, we want to remind all of US PAC's contracted delivery partners and other professional drivers and owner-operators that tune into our podcast to stay alert and stay ahead. October brings not just busy delivery days, but also lots of community and family activities. Between Halloween, fall festivals, harvest fairs, and pumpkin patch weekends, there's a lot happening out on the roads. Schools are back in swing, and more people are out walking and biking in the cooler, refreshing air. Be on the lookout for pedestrians. Watching your surroundings, children can dart across the street during trick-or-treating or fall events. Stay alert, especially in residential neighborhoods. Many towns host parades and festivals that change normal traffic flow, so please keep your eyes peeled for detours and pedestrians. Check your lights and your brakes. Dusk comes earlier now. Visibility is your best defense on the road. Fatigue, shorter daylight hours, and seasonal weather changes all make attention behind the wheel more important than ever. So please stay rested and focused. And driving smarter in wet conditions. Fallen leaves can be slick as ice, especially on corners and driveways. Your commitment to safe driving keeps not just you safe, but also the families and communities that you serve every day. As we head into the heart of fall, stay alert, stay ahead, and enjoy the season safely. Until next time.
All right, Liz, thank you so much for that safety message. Those are always a key part of our podcast every month. So thank you again for doing that. And now we have our second guest with us today, Blake Massman. Blake is one of our account management directors. And Blake, thank you so much for taking some time to meet with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. If anybody recognizes the name Massman, we had a Rick Massman on a couple months ago as a member of the implementation team. I think you and Rick are related, are you not, Blake?
That's correct. That's my father. He's been in this industry quite some time, all the way from driver level up. So I've certainly grown up, adjacent at the very least to the
That's
logistics
awesome.
industry.
That's awesome that you're both in the same industry and kind of follow that. So, so Blake, do us a favor for people who haven't met you yet. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, 33 years old. I started with US PAC a little over 7 years ago. So it'd be 7 years in September. Prior to that, I spent kind of my, I guess, early adult life in school, getting a degree in chemistry, my master's in chemistry. Obviously, I'm doing something a little bit diverse from that, but you can still see kind of the periodic table behind me in its blurry form. So I'm still, interested in science, obviously, but I like to kind of change it up. So I've been with US PAC, like I said, 7 years. I started initially as a procurement specialist, or what we call sourcing specialist, very, very aligned with your team currently, Kevin. And, I got to really deal with contractors directly at that kind of stage of working here. That transitioned to me being a new business implementation manager, really kind of the bridge between that IC piece and, where the operations kind of, field is and the customer relationship. And then moving on to kind of where I am currently in account management, where it's definitely, facing the customer, still some interactions with operations, kind of that whole picture of that model. And I currently am aligned with customers on both our healthcare side and our critical mile side.
Awesome. Yeah, I know you were with the implementation team when I started here, Blake, and worked closely together with some projects you got up and running. So you have certainly been you've been on the sourcing side, helping to stand up new business, and now of course in your role as a account director, helping our customers to have a great experience here. And I've worked with you a few years, and I have to admit I did not know that you were in chemistry. You and I would have spoken about the fact my daughter is a chemist at the Naval Research Laboratory in Washington,
Interesting.
D.C. So we would have talked about that. Now I know something about you I didn't know before. So
For another
that's awesome
conversation.
stuff. In your current role, Blake, um, speaking to our contractors and what their business looks like, how would you say your role today impacts or influences our independent contractors today?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, one of the main focuses of the account management team in general is, growth and retention. Whether that be growing volume with the customer or growing kind of the service expectations, growing the service level. And I think, there's some obvious things where that would impact a driver, right? There's more opportunity, there's more routing, more et cetera. And then in terms of the service level, you're increasing the kind of opportunities that are available. And then just on the retention side, obviously, being able to offer at the contractor level something that's sustainable. So, I'm working day in and day out to make sure that, our customer and the service that we provide them and to their customers is sustainable, and that we'll be the one doing it a year from now, 2 years from now, and we'll be the one that they go to if they do want to expand that service or they do want to grow organically, or we're open to accounts in other markets. So, I think that that's really where it impacts the drivers. And then, the other piece of that is really just managing those customer expectations. Making sure, I guess sometimes it's easy to point to the person holding the bag or
Sure.
the contractor that last touched the piece, and kind of, giving that customer a full picture of there's a lot of hands involved. There's a lot of nuance to this, and there's ways to, navigate through these challenges that don't always point to the last person holding the bag, and making sure that, again, that sustainability is there so that we don't, make a decision where we say, hey, we maybe need to use a different provider for this.
Right.
That provider is going to have the same challenges. So are we really looking at the right root cause of the challenge, and making sure that, everyone knows what their responsibility is in each piece of this logistical puzzle.
Well, that's awesome, Blake. Thank you for going through that. And as you were going through it, it made me think just by you and your team being able to help us maintain our customer base and grow our customer base, it really just allows our contractors to have so many different opportunities, right? So we've got auto parts and pharmaceuticals and life science and all the other commodities and customers that we have available. It really does give our contractors kind of a smorgasbord of options, I guess you'd say, as they're looking at the type
Absolutely.
of opportunities they want to do.
In
Awesome.
agreement.
As an account manager, you're often, with the customer and sometimes with the fleet, you are the face of US Pack, right? You're the face of the company. Um, how would you say you represent the contractor, to our clients or to our customers?
Sure. Yeah. And while I'm the face, obviously, maybe to the higher tier of the customer, or, the driver is the face sometimes of them to their customer, at least it's perceived as such. So I think that is an important distinction. And, I do try and emphasize as much as possible kind of the importance, not only the importance of the contractors, but the importance of the model, and, that an independent contractor is running a business, and we have to kind of view it that way. So when there's a new process, or there's a, an expectation that's different, or not maybe what we were doing last week, right, that all impacts that driver's business. And that driver's already considering, you know vehicle repairs, or where they're going from point A to B, and all the steps that are involved with just that, that piece of it. And so trying to, make sure the customer understands that, if you add 100 steps to this process, you're directly impacting this business, and you have to view it that way. It's not just, add this extra piece of work into it, or however you want to, look at it. There's a negotiation that has to take place in a lot of cases, and just making sure they understand that that contractor really is trying to optimize their business, just like they're trying to optimize theirs, and just like, USPAC is trying to optimize ours.
Awesome. That's great. Great stuff, Blake. And like you said, you got a lot of moving pieces there, right? The contractor's a business, US Pat's a business, customer business, and to be able to bring all those together, to be able to provide a service to, people maybe delivering pharmaceuticals or sometimes stuff that is extremely important in their life. It's nice to see all those move together to make that happen. So, yeah, that's great stuff. Um, Blake, you mentioned earlier, you've been in the business, you started out in the sourcing and moved your way up through the company and in the business. If you were looking back, what's a piece of advice today you would give to younger Blake starting out? What would you like to go back and say to yourself starting out in the business?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think it kind of really goes to, don't sit on the fence too long, right? Take the opportunity, make the mistakes, learn everything you can from something. I think, the time deliberating on whether or not it's the right decision can be much better spent just doing it, right? So really, I would just, probably tell my younger self, don't worry about that. Worry about making a decision, being decisive. Obviously, consider your options, but make a decision, go forward with it, learn what you can from it. There's plenty of time to kind of pivot, change what you like, redecide, what you want to pursue. But yeah, just don't delay any longer than you need to kind of, decide which way you want to go.
That's great stuff. And it would be nice if we could go back and give advice to our younger selves, and then to be like they say, hindsight's always 20/20. So it'd be nice to have the ability to do that. So, um, Blake, just last question. You've seen this business from a lot of different angles. So, what's some feedback or advice that you would want to share with our contractors to help them to be successful in this business?
It's not that dissimilar to what I just mentioned, take the opportunity, see what you like. Don't be afraid to say, I don't like that, and I'm looking for another opportunity. Obviously, we want consistency. We want the provider to be comfortable with what they're doing, because it will result in, higher service for our customers and just an overall better experience. But I mean, I guess just, to the contractors, our customers do see and appreciate all the holidays, all the delays that they cause, all of the snowstorms that they go through. And I think it is important to kind of say it. And I know it gets said enough, but it should continue to be said, as, we really do appreciate doing all those things, in very diverse conditions. So that's
That
my message to contractors.
Yeah, that is great advice because I think many of us who aren't, or many who aren't in the business, don't really know all the challenges when it comes to being, in this business. Weather, he said, for one, road conditions, traffic, maintenance of equipment, customer locations, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of challenges, and we're fortunate that we have a great fleet, a bunch of great contractors in our fleet who provide great service day in, day out. Blake, great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah,
It's been nice to spend a little bit of time. Like I said, learn a little bit about you. Didn't already know, and to get your perspective for our contractors. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. And we're going to be right back, and we'll wrap this thing up and be good to go. So, Blake, thank you again.
appreciate inviting me.
Wow. Well, I mean, was I on base or what? I said we would have a Pat edition for you this month, and we certainly did. So hopefully, all of you found that to be informative, educational, and just a good use of your time to sit back and listen to this. So, again, thank you for that. I want to thank our guest, Tammy Orr, and Blake Massman, as well as Liz Billias, of course, for our monthly safety message. Thank you all. for making this thing happen. And thanks most of all to you, our contractors, for what you do out there each and every day, providing safe, professional services to our customers and to our clients. And you are the face of US Pack out in the field, and we couldn't do this without you. So thank you for all that you do. And having said all that, that's the end of our October edition. Next time we talk to you, it'll be November and getting closer to winter for all of us. But thank you all for joining, and have a great month till we see you in November.